The yo-yo test is important for Josh to do because he says that his stamina is his weakness in his basketball game, and therefore he'll be able to see what level his stamina actually is at and track the improvements. The test also measures his VO2 max, which is important because also we can then work on this, and this will also help to improve his stamina. The test is very practical as it only needs around 40 meters of space, give and take, with a bit more for probably about 50 meters. And the yo-yo software is quite simple to access online, so therefore it won't be too difficult to set up this test, which is another reason why we did this. There's also quite a lot of easy access to normative data, but you have to do some calculations to work out your VO2 max from your yo-yo test. But it's not that difficult to find a calculator online which will calculate your VO2 max from your yo-yo test result, and then you can find normative data for VO2 max and yo-yo test results online. The test is quite simple to administer. You just have to find the software and press play, and then monitor when people miss the beep, and then ask them just write down where they went out after they missed 2 beeps. And it's quite easy for Josh to take part because although it's quite hard on your fitness, it's just jogging up and down in a line. It's no skill to it really. This test would be useful for Josh as he plays basketball, because basketball is a 40-minute end-to-end game, which is very tiring and intense, and therefore it's vital it improves his stamina. So in the later stages of the game, he is able to keep going and still score baskets or block his opponent or start plays. The test is quite reliable if you use the same software, same distance, and the same indoor hall each time. But justification for the Illinois agility test. So the Illinois agility test is quite simple to set up, and it only requires a few cones. So as you can see from the protocol, you just need like a few cones, and you need to know the exact distance apart. But as long as you have written down the measurements and what you need, it's not that difficult to set up. And it doesn't take up that much space, which is good because it means you can do it while other people are taking part in their tests, or if you don't have much space to work in, we could have still done it. It's very suitable for Josh and his basketball, as you have to do lots of turns and changes of speeds to beat a player or win the ball, and therefore Josh will need a lot of agility to become a better basketball player. It's a bit tiring, but not that tiring because it doesn't take that long to take part. So therefore, if Josh's weakness is his stamina, he'll still be able to give his best in the test because it's more about your agility and speed rather than stamina so much. It would allow me as the coach to easily track Josh's changes or improvements in agility, because we could just complete this test once a week and see if he gets a better score than the week before. Normative data is easily accessible, which means we can compare Josh's results to the average male or a basketball player. Which is good because then we know whether we need to work on this or not. The results are easy to measure because you just need to see what time it is, how long it took him when you stopped your stopwatch at the end of the run, and measure the distance between the cones using a tape measure. If you use the same tape measure and stopwatch each time, results will be consistent, other than maybe a bit of human error with or difference stopping the stopwatch, because it's hard to get the exact second, but still should be quite reliable. Justification for the speed test. This is a direct measurement of speed, and it's really simple to set up because it's just you just need to measure out 20 meters in distance and have two cones at the start and end. And if you use the same timer, like a phone timer, and the same tape measure each time, then the results should be consistent each time. And make sure if you're in a hall, you keep doing it in a hall. It's suitable for basketball, as you have to do lots of sprints in basketball to beat the opponent, or to get back and defend, or run across to block an opponent's shot. It doesn't require that. It requires about 30 meters in space, but not that many facilities. Like, we don't really need much equipment. There are no calculations needed, and normative data is quite widely available, which means that we can get Josh's results quite quickly without any trouble, and then we can compare him to other people or other basketball players. So therefore we know if it's a really good score or an average score and we need to work on it, or if we need to just maintain it. And the test doesn't take long to complete. It is over within like 3-4 seconds based on how fast your client runs it. Standing vertical jump test. There aren't really any extraneous variables because you're just jumping up in the air, so can't really be affected by too many things. And the administrator doesn't need to be that experienced because it's a fairly simple test. Just needs to know that, which is quite obvious, that you need to wind the dial in and press set and start, which is not that complicated, which is good because then the test should be, like, most people can administrate this test, so you can do it with like a friend or something, someone that doesn't need to have done this before. It doesn't take very long to complete, literally a matter of seconds, which is good because it means you can do it a number of times or move on to another test. It doesn't require much space, which is good because it means that you don't get in the way of other people doing their tests, or you don't have to wait for other people to finish. And it's very suitable to basketball, as you need to be able to leap high in the air to score baskets or block opponent shots. Sit and reach test. The sit and reach test is a direct measurement and a direct test of your flexibility. The extraneous and confounding variables are easy to control, as there are not that many, as it is usually done indoors and you're just reaching forward, so like weather and motivation don't really affect it too much. The administrator doesn't need much skill level because they're just telling you to reach forward along the box and keep the legs straight. It's quite simple, and the protocol is pretty simple, and therefore it won't be difficult for the performer to do this, and therefore you can do it with really anyone, and it shouldn't take them that long. And you can keep the protocol quite consistent every time, so I made sure that each time Josh held his position in the stretch for 3 seconds, so that like we weren't just doing it, always leaned and then that's the score. 3 seconds wait each time. Only requires one metal box, one metal sit and reach box, which you can get online for about £50. So it is a little bit expensive, but it's still quite small and doesn't take up much space. It's suitable for basketball because You need to be really flexible so you can reach for the basketball ahead of your opponents. You need low skill because it's not very hard to complete. You're just reaching forward and stretching, which everyone can do. There's no calculations, which means it's quick to get Josh's results, and there's lots of normative data so we can compare his results to other people of similar age or sport to him, and therefore we can work out whether we need to improve it or not. There's not much space required, as I said, and this is the gold standard test for measuring flexibility. The press-up test. The press-up test is a direct measurement as no calculations are needed. Therefore, the results actually mean something, and now it is quick to work out whether he's done really well or badly. And there's lots of normative data because loads of people do press-ups, and therefore we can compare him to people of similar age, weight, sport, and work out whether he needs to improve on his results or if they're really good. We only need a mat and someone to count how many press-ups he's done, so it doesn't take up much space, and we don't need much equipment, which is good because it means it will take us quite quick, and you could do it anywhere really as long as you have a mat. And the administrator and performer don't need much experience or skill because press-ups are quite renowned and quite easy to do. Everyone knows, well, most people know how to do a press-up. It's very cheap to do as mats aren't that expensive, and it only takes a minute to do. And it is also a maximal test, which is good because it means we're pushing Josh to the most of his ability, just like you would in a basketball game. This is suitable for basketball as you need muscular endurance because constantly passing and shooting the basketball is quite tiring on your arms, and you're constantly running around, so you need quite good muscular endurance, and also to be strong against your opponents when you're trying to steal the ball off them or win the ball in front of them. BIA test. This is a direct measurement as it tells you straight away your BMI and fat percentage on the LCD screen once you've done the test. It has high reliability as the protocol shouldn't change if you use the same machine every time. There's no extraneous or confounding variables as you're not doing an exercise or a movement, so you can't really be motivated to do better. And for example, like the weather and stuff won't affect it. It is a direct test, and it is the gold standard test, which is good because it means that there's no real faults in the test, and it is the best one you can do, so you know it's going to be an accurate measurement of your BMI and body fat. There's hardly any space required, and it's very quick to do because you're just holding a small little machine which gives you a result pretty quickly. And there's not really many administrative skills needed, or the performer doesn't need to be too skilled because it tells you on the screen what to put in, and then it judges it from just you holding the machine. And there's no calculations needed, and a lot of normative data available for body fat percentage and BMI, which is good because we can compare Josh's results to people similar age and similar sport like basketball, and we can work out whether he's got a good result or bad result and work out a training plan from there.